Hi everyone. 2.5 years ago, on a normal Tuesday morning, I was going about my normal routine and I received an email from a lawyer that attached a 13-page letter from my former fiance. This letter accused me of all sorts of, quote, perverse and abusive behavior. It was a shocking email to receive. Never would I have expected this thing to arrive in my email box. At the time, there was a lot of accusations being made about a lot of people, and I knew that many people were losing their jobs and their careers over this time. And I was now right in the thick of it. I never imagined myself to be there. As I read through the letter, trying to make sense of reality, it was a state of paralysis I've never experienced before. I spent the day talking to friends, I spoke to my attorneys, and we were trying to figure out what to do. Universally, the advice I received from everyone was settle it, remain private. Don't take this into the public sphere because one's reputation can be eternally tarnished and it's very hard to come back from. And it felt devastating to me. The accusations felt like an injustice. And I went to bed that night realizing that this was one of the most significant moments of my life. That even though this was commonplace in society, it was happening everywhere, and it would have been easy to settle, it just didn't feel right to me. And I went to bed that night wondering what I should do. And the next morning, I woke up and I felt a firm conviction that I needed to stand up for myself. I needed to take this course. And now 2.5 years later, it has finally wrapped up. But it has been devastating, it has been costly, it has been stressful, it has been ruinous in so many ways. And I hope that my experience going through this and sharing it with you will somehow make society better. And so what I've done is I've written out what I'm going to say today because I've carefully thought about what I'm going to say. Not something I wanted to just riff on generally as I explain the details. So if you bear with me, I'll go through the entirety of what has happened over the past 2.5 years. My former fiance threatened to make scandalous public accusations about me unless I paid her $9 million in 1 week. 2 years later, a judge ordered her to pay me $500,000 for the fees I had spent defending my innocence. The dark, underground accusation economy. Okay, so how did this happen? It started on April 6th, 2021, that morning I was telling you about, with a 13-page letter from her attorneys. Quote, redacted is willing to settle all of her claims against Mr. Johnson and his companies for $9 million, ... This was surprising because after over a year of our relationship ending, for the first time ever, she was accusing me of a wide range of, quote, abusive and pervasive behaviors. Through her attorneys, she threatened to make her allegations public if I didn't pay her that $9 million in 1 week. Receiving this, WTF. What claims, what wrongdoing? Is this April Fool's? Am I being punked? I am so confused. This is a person whom I'd once had the most beautiful relationship with, and now she was unrecognizable to me. I double-clicked on the email and I started reading the letter, and the contents were shocking. I felt paralyzed. What was even more shocking was that my fiance and I had signed a separation agreement a year earlier when ending our relationship. We both agreed to walk our separate ways. It was clear that she and her attorneys were gambling that they would put enough pressure on me of my reputation being tarnished publicly that I would pay up and settle privately. She was emboldened by lawyers blinded by their greed to take advantage of her vulnerabilities and exploit my wealth. After over 6 months of threatening to destroy me, with more serious allegations in her, quote, podcast, a book deal, and a potential TV series, the attorneys who sent the demand letter never filed a complaint or produced a single piece of evidence to support the allegations. Then she got new attorneys. Seeing that threats alone were insufficient, they filed a case in court and tried to make me look like a monster. I successfully moved part of the case into arbitration, where we had agreed to resolve any disputes. As their legal losses mounted, they became increasingly unhinged in what they were willing to say. Sadly, global media ate it up. On March 31st, 2023, after extensive motions, depositions, and discovery, the arbitrator dismissed all her causes of action that had been referred to arbitration and ordered that my accuser pay me $500,000 to reimburse attorney's fees I'd been forced to spend defending my innocence. The ruling and award were confirmed by an active Superior Court judge on September 29th, 2023. After years of litigation, the corroborating evidence my accuser had of any of my accused wrongdoings, nothing. Not a single thing. In considering my accuser's attempt to invalidate the separation agreement she had signed, the arbitrator, a well-respected retired judge, pointed out that my accuser's, quote, undisputed conduct and testimony refute her claims. In other words, my accuser's own evidence contradicted her own story. This is noteworthy as my accuser's day job is chief storytelling officer at an implantable medical device company where trust is life and death. This entire thing has been bizarre and surreal. My accuser's attorney were sanctioned by the judge, a severe reprimand that courts reserve for truly egregious behavior, for making, as the judge wrote, quote, serious allegations factually and legally baseless and frivolous, unquote. Her lawyers were ordered to pay the court a fine of $2,500. In our settlement discussions, I insisted her attorneys pay some of what she owed for their complicitness. It would have been so easy to relent and quietly make this go away. That's what nearly everyone does, but I am not guilty, and they gave me no choice but to spend 2 years litigating to defend my innocence. Giving in and paying up would have been an injustice to me, an injustice to society, enabling this twisted practice. This legal fight was ugly and awful, honestly the worst. The most hurtful part of the whole ordeal was that she spoke about our relationship in ways that were unrecognizable to me. For example, when she was sadly diagnosed with a serious health condition, I rearranged my life and worked beside her nonstop to beat it. We flew around the country together, exploring clinical trials and meeting with doctors. Together, we conducted extensive research into additional therapies and tests. It was our shared, omnipresent focus. When tests showed that she was in the clear and it was time to celebrate her new lease on life, who was the one person in the world that she invited to be by her side at this sacred event? Me. She honored my unwavering devotion to her well-being. The case is now wrapped and behind us. This time with a promise that she won't sue me again. A provision the previous agreement didn't have and which allowed her and her attorneys to weaponize the legal system for over 2 years. Their strategy was to inflict maximum pain and suffering on me so that I would pay up privately. They miscalculated my tenaciousness and resolve, and their strategy backfired, inflicting collateral damage upon themselves. One of her attorneys is no longer with that firm, and my accuser's health sadly deteriorated within the blast radius of her own creation. My accuser has been astonishingly pernicious. Nonetheless, I choose again to support her as she works through her health and well-being. The settlement funds she owes me will be routed to a trust I established for her medical needs. She is the sole beneficiary and is the only person who can access the trust. I won't keep a penny of what she pays as part of the judgment. I know many of you may be thinking that this situation is something that happens to other people and something that won't happen to you. The thing that's relevant here is that every minute of every day, each of us invest our efforts into building our reputations. We show up on time, we're respectful, we offer sympathy, we help out, we apologize when we're at fault, we tell the truth. Our reputation is our life currency. Then, in one moment, a headline can cause everyone you love and care about to question everything they thought they knew about you. A lifetime of work is now in question. It's great entertainment when it's about someone else, something entirely different when it's about you. It has been no fun having my name dragged through the mud without the ability to comment. Quote, innocent until proven guilty, unquote, is a bedrock of our society. In recent years, it has been weaponized and exploited as guilty until proven innocent has been de facto by mob rule, ruining people's careers, lives, and reputations, taking away from those who legitimately need the legal system. It has created a booming underground economy that has destabilized societal trust by straining our bonds. Our societal fabric is fragile, woven together by a shared trust. The accusation strategy she used is corrosive to that shared stability. I hope that more people stand up to this dark and twisted practice. For those of you interested in more context and detail on the events that transpired, I'll share a few things with you. Before I received the 13-page scorched earth letter in April of 2021, my accuser sent me a letter in September of 2020 where she praised my integrity, she spoke of our shared love and emphasized the reciprocal care that we'd shown for each other. I'll put on the screen here a court filing that has the quotes from her letter to me. Now, when that tactic didn't work, she and her attorneys sought to disparage me and create scandal. And this is what I mentioned before, as their legal losses mounted, they became increasingly unhinged in what they were willing to say. For example, they accused me of bribing the arbitrator. They were trying to embarrass me and pressure me into private settlement. You can see, as my court filing put it, when they tried this, the judge wasn't having their bribery fiction. She found the attorneys, quote, acted with reckless disregard for the truth and law in making the accusations, and, quote, violated their duties and respect and honesty, unquote. The judge severely reprimanded the attorneys for making, quote, frivolous, unquote, claims with, quote, no evidence, unquote, to support them, quote, undermining the dignity and integrity of the court's proceedings. The judge sanctioned the attorneys $2,500. Then, of course, there were global headlines that ate up all of this and led many to believe that I am a monster. And to that, I say, press, why do you gotta be like this? Okay, there you have it. I'm free. I feel relief. It's been 2.5 years of hell. It's been honestly like almost a full-time job responding to all the legal complications of this case. It was just a relentless situation. So many times I wanted to give up and justify and say, you know what, I'm much better off spending my time doing this and that, just pay the money and move on. And I continually thought that this is bigger than me. This really is about how we conduct ourselves in society, that we really do have this naked trust of each other in everything we do. And these kinds of things severely debilitate our ability to build the future we want. So I know when I was going through this process, when I was in shock and paralysis from these accusations and staring at the real possibility that I would lose it all, I wanted to find a public example of somebody who had stood up and said, you know what, no, I'm not doing it. And I couldn't find any. And I'm sure there have been, I just have been unaware. I hope that this case helps others who find themselves in a similar predicament, that when they're faced with this kind of situation, they too choose to not let the injustice pass. It behooves all of us that we build a society where we are innocent until proven guilty, and that the accusation economy does not have the power to derail our reputations and careers and lives. It's not good for any one of us. So with that, signing out, I'm on to the next chapter of life. I hope this is edifying, and I hope that we build a better future because of it.